Johnny Mayer here, and welcome back to our first review on the new channel rebrand, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, our first review in a long time, and we're going to do a new formula with these reviews from now on. And that is, we're not going to be giving scores. We're going to be giving ratings. So, I know, you're probably asking, what's the difference? Instead of giving numbers, we're going to give like a letter grade, or in this case, like a tier. So, we're going to have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. You can probably pretty much guess what all of those means. S tier is phenomenal, masterpiece, like one of the best games, or my favorite. A tier is just a amazing game, great game, awesome game, whatever. B is good game, okay game, solid game, pretty decent game. C is it's okay, it's kind of mid, it's whatever. D is pretty weak, not very good, and then F is obviously trash. But yeah, we're gonna be doing that just because I feel like it just makes talking about games a lot better. And I feel like when you put a number on something, it just, I don't know, it almost it just doesn't sit right with me, and I know that for a lot of people it also doesn't. And so I think just putting like a letter grade and kind of like a tier, well, number one, just be more fun, and then as well, that can kind of be taken in a lot of directions. Like, there are a lot of games that I would put in my top tier, but I wouldn't say are like 10 out of 10 masterpieces. I would, like, for instance, one of my favorite games of all time, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I would not, that's like an 8.5 game, 8.5 out of 10 game for me, but I'd still put it S tier because it is one of my favorite games. So it's like having these tiers can kind of be open to however you want to interpret that. And I feel like that'd be a really great just way to do reviews from now on. But without explaining what that means, let's talk about the game that y'all clicked on, the one that you're here for, the one that everybody's talking about, and that is totally universally praised right now. Absolutely no controversy, no divide whatsoever. And that is, by the way, that was old jokes, Hellblade 2, Senua'S Saga. This is the sequel to Hellblade 1, in other words, Hellblade Senua'S Sacrifice, except this time around, Ninja Theory has been acquired by Xbox, and this is one of Xbox's big exclusives, and they've given them a bigger budget, they've given them more time, more resources, and this has been highly anticipated. This game was originally announced alongside the Xbox Series X. This was like their big front-run game for a long time. I don't think things quite lived up to that, but I do think this has been one of the bigger focused games of this generation for Xbox so far. And this is coming at a really interesting time where a lot of faith and a lot of hope has kind of died for Xbox, and a lot of people have lost trust and confidence in them. And I think this game just delivers something interesting that we kind of have to look at the whole Xbox as a whole. But I think people need to focus on what we've been given in the game, and that's what I'm here to do, is focus on the game, give my reviews, because at the time of recording this, it is the day after the game was released, so I've pretty much beat it in like 24 hours. And which, that's the first thing I'm going to go ahead and say. It is a short game. It is a short game, and we kind of knew that going into it because the first one was short, and they said in some of their documentaries and the Xbox Developer Direct that this was going to be a shorter, more condensed experience. I had no issues with it, and I kind of hoped that would happen and expected that to happen. I did not think it would be this short. It is about 5 to 6 hours. It is 6 chapters in total. And yeah, it is a very short game, but I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I think that is good and bad. We'll get into that. But yeah, let me go ahead and start off by saying, if you are looking for a game to dive really deep into a addicting gameplay system, to have interesting mechanics, to get really invested in like your builds or whatnot, or if you're looking for just amazing interactivity, this game is not for you. This game is a technical showpiece, and it is a artistic achievement. It is not supposed to be the next game where you sink 100 hours into. It is not supposed to be that game where you become so good at the combat that you're just like a master. It is a game that, honestly, you are supposed to... It is almost that one and done game. You play it once, you experience it, and you move on. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who play this multiple times, and I completely see why. So, let me go ahead and get the basis. What did I think of the game? And in short speaking, I loved it. I loved it. I really did. Now, there are a lot of flaws with this game that we're going to talk about. But I think a lot of the flaws for me come with the expectations of what were they going to change with the sequel. Because for me, I feel like this game was really just more of the first one, and they really didn't change all that much outside of the obvious technology, visuals, graphics, lighting, all of that. And so that's where we're going to get started. The best part about this game is the visuals. The visuals, the technical achievement that this game is second to none. I truly do believe this is the best looking game to date. It is just breathtaking. Everywhere you go, everything you see in this game is just wow. Wow, wow, wow. The cinematography is just a different breed in this game. All the enemy encounters are just so unreal looking. Like, it easily is the best part of the game. Like, I would low-key play it twice just to re-witness all of that again, because it truly is breathtaking. There are so many set pieces, so many different areas you go to with so many things happening that it's just like, wow. And this is going to be a spoiler-free review, by the way. I'm not going to go into spoilers all that much. Or really at all. I'm going to try and go around it. If you are a huge fan of visuals, and if that is why you are coming to this game, you are going to absolutely love it. 100%, hands down. There's no debating it. If you are here for the cinematography, if you are here for the visuals, if you are here for the technical achievement, you're going to love it. And that's why I kind of give this game more credit than I think it's getting from a lot of people. And that is that going into this game, we knew it was going to be a technical showpiece. I don't think they ever promised we were getting a super deep combat system. We were getting a super duper long game. We were getting the most in-depth puzzles you've ever seen. I think that was more or less just expectations for it being a sequel, and now under Xbox's wing. You know, I don't think they ever promised that, and that's why I don't really knock it that much for its flaws, even though we are going to get to some of the flaws. But absolutely, the technicality of this game is unparalleled. It is just mind-blowing. To the point where, because of it, in my mind, there's almost like it can't be a lower score than like somewhere pretty decently high up already, just because it is that technically mind-blowing. But that's not the only good thing. I'm going to be the complete outlier here. I'm going to be the only person that says it. The combat segments in this game were some of my favorite parts of the game. And I know that's going to hit people the wrong way, because the combat is a lot of people's biggest criticisms. And I understand why. Because it's not deep. It is not like super advanced. It's not something unique. It's not very creative. But what it is it's just awesome to look at. And that's the big thing for me, is I'm not going into this game. I'm not playing this game to have the best gameplay in combat. I personally think the combat was a step up from the first game by quite a bit. The way action sequences play out in this game is so clever and so cool that some of the most epic moments and some of the coolest moments happen in the combat sequences. Even though you're not doing really anything all that crazy, it just hits different because of how awesome it looks. And I think that's its big thing, and that's why I loved it. There were multiple times where I was like, yo, that was just awesome to do, because It was just an awesome sequence. The animations in this game really sell it, because the animations is pretty much what the combat is. It's just you clicking a button and animations happening. And I think the animations are just absolutely phenomenal. But that leads me to my next favorite part of the game. Obviously, we have visuals is the best part. Easy. Number one. And when I say visuals, that encompasses everything. Graphics, lighting, cinematography, animations. Visuals are easy the best part. Second part, I actually really like the combat. But that's completely just me. The third best part, in my opinion, and I notice this a lot. And a lot of games like this, I notice it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's great. But it doesn't like stay with me long after I play the game. I'm like, okay, yeah, it was great in that moment, but looking back, it wasn't all that great. Whereas this one I feel very different about, and that is the music. I think the music is so perfect for this game. I can't tell you how many times in this game the music just uplifted the whole scene. It just made everything better. It just made everything hit harder. And I absolutely love that for music. I think music really does make a lot of the best moments of this game even better. And I cannot applaud that enough. I think the music was terrifically, almost perfectly done in this game. The only complaint I have with music is I wish they used the main theme a little bit more. Like, it was a big advertising thing for the game. Look, I ain't a singer, but like like that thing, right? That thing that they've done, they did a performance at the game awards and all, and it was only in the actual game once, from what I recalled, and it was just a random moment where she was just looking at some natural environment. I'm trying not to spoil anything. It was just, she was just looking at the environment, and the song finally played, and that's like the only time it played. And I love that song. That's why I wish it was more. But yeah, the music was just absolutely outstanding. And then the last and final thing that I'm really going to touch on that I think is just absolutely amazing about this game is its audio. Not music specifically, but like the audio, the voice acting, the sound effects, the atmosphere. When you play with the headphones, I played with these headphones. I don't even know why I'm wearing these headphones. I don't have anything playing. Whatever. Dude, that's how good the audio was. It was just glued to my head, bro. It's been glued on me all day. No. Actually, that is kind of true. I went to the gym, was wearing those headphones. I went on a walk, was wearing those headphones. Interesting. The audio is great, man. It again is just a showcase of why Ninja Theory is as talented and as brilliant as they are, because they can deliver something so technically achieving. I know I've said that so many times in this video, but it just is true. On a technical level, this is master class. And I think, I at least, even from people that I've seen dislike the game, they give that credit, because credit is given where credit is due. And I feel like this is one of the moments where it deserves so much credit that even through the dark points in this game, people still give it its light. And I think that is absolutely amazing, because they deserve so much awards and so much praise for what they were able to achieve technically with this game. But there are some dark points, and from what I've seen from a lot of reviews and everything, now I don't really reviews, you know, it's cool to look at it at first, but I really don't care about reviews. I don't care about the score it has on Metacritic. I don't really care what IGN gives. I don't care about any of that. I don't care what my favorite influencer thinks of it. I form my own opinion. But from what I've seen, the general consensus is that combat, puzzles, pacing, and the story this time around was not as strong. And I agree with some of that. For the first one, the story, because that's one thing I haven't talked about yet. The story did not blow me away like I thought it was going to. I would say the second half of the game's story is far, far better than the first half. Especially the last 2 hours of the game. The last 2 hours of the game is truly something special. But I do feel for the most part it was just a pretty good story. I don't think it was a bad story. I don't think it weakened the game. Like it definitely was a positive. Like I would say it's a positive thing about the game is its story still. But I do think from what I was expecting and compared to the first one, I would maybe say it's better than the first one still. I do like the side characters that they added in this one, in this time around. I do like them. But I just think from what I was expecting, it wasn't like a top tier story, in my opinion. But it still was just really, really great. But yeah, the problems I do have with the game is not the combat, like what a lot of people say. It is the pacing, which was a problem in the first game, and it's also a problem with the puzzles. I think both of those things combined really drag the game down for me. I get it is a cinematic experience in that it's basically a movie, but there are so many parts where I'm just like, do we really need to spend this much time on this thing? Like, she spends the first 10 minutes of the game climbing up this wall, bro. Like, it takes so long to squeeze through these tight walls, or to climb up this cliff, or to crawl to the other side of the boat, or just a lot of these sequences takes way longer than I think they need to. And then there are so many animations, like just climbing a ladder, that the animations are so long that it really just it just feels like it drags a lot. And then mix that with puzzles, which I think the puzzles are cool. Like, they're okay. They're pretty much the same as the first one. There was one, I will say, I really enjoyed the bubble puzzles. I'm not going to really, like, spoil what the heck the bubble puzzles do, or, like, how that works. But, like, there are these puzzles where you, like, see these bubbles around, and you have to, like, look at them, and then things happen. I really enjoyed those. Those were actually my favorite puzzles in the game. I always pleasantly enjoyed doing those. The ones where you had to match the symbols, light the fires, and do whatever, those were okay. I did not like the light the fire one. That whole chapter was brutal. I'm not gonna lie. That was a really bad chapter. But the symbol ones was okay. Another puzzle I actually did like was you like grabbed this orb and the environment changed around you like in an instant. That was really, really awesome as well. But again, even though the puzzles were pretty okay for the most part, I do think it was a downgrade from the first one. It kind of just, they didn't really feel all that fleshed out. They kind of just were there to be puzzles, not really to make you think or challenge the player. And I think once again, the puzzles are just in places where you're just like, okay, I really just want to get this over with so I can move on to the next part. And that definitely feels more like that case later in the game. Early on in the game, it wasn't a big problem, but then later on, of course, it's like, okay, no, I just want to get to the next big moment. Things like that. And then, yeah, that really just adds on to the whole pacing. There are a lot of moments where you're just walking for like 20 minutes straight. You're not doing anything. And I do see the big problem with a lot of people is sometimes you really just feel like you're playing a walking simulator. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that because of what the game is trying to accomplish and what the game is and kind of what we were told going into it. And even something like Death Stranding, I didn't have the biggest issue, but it does drag it down. Like, it does make the experience a little bit, it does dampen the experience. I don't think it makes it bad, but it definitely makes it weaker than other things that I'd rather be doing. But those are my big main issues. I didn't experience any performance issues. I played it on PC at max settings. It was just incredible. Yeah, it really was such a great experience, although very flawed and at times not the most exciting. But there were some really, really high moments in this game, and that's what really carries it, is there are some really, really high moments. There are some segments where I'm just like, that is so awesome. Like, this is so awesome. they have some of the best shots I've ever seen in any video game. They have some of the cool set pieces. They have some really awesome combat areas. I really did love majority of this game. However, I do feel like it is very flawed. And for that fact, I kind of already knew where this game was going to rank on our new tier system that we have for our reviews. We have S, A, B, C, D, and F. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be putting this in the A tier along with the original Senua'S Sacrifice. I also put in the A tier, and I do think Senua'S Saga is also in the A tier, but let me get this clear. I do like the sequel more than the first one. I do like this one more than the first one. And that's saying something because I really did like the first one. Yeah. I absolutely love this game. I do recommend playing it if you're okay playing a game that does not have that great of a combat system and is very slow. It is a very, very slow game. If you can get behind those two things, I think this is absolutely a must play because it is just so visually and technically stunning. Absolutely give it a try. But that is going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, definitely leave a like, leave a comment in the section down below provided, and please subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.